Last week, Sophie posted a video on 5 bad habits to avoid with singing, so I thought I'd post the same video with guitar. A lot of guitarists, especially if they're self-taught, start off with these bad habits. Even now, a lot of us slip into some of these bad habits, but avoiding them is really going to help us continue to progress as guitarists. As music is an ongoing thing, we never finish our journey. There's always something new to learn. We're constantly improving ourselves as musicians and learning new things to help us get better. So here is 5 tips to avoid those bad habits and play correctly straight away, avoiding the anguish of having to relearn techniques and positions later in your guitar career. So the first tip I have for you is to do with rhythm playing. More often than not, when a student starts having lessons with me, if they've been playing already or after a while of learning chords, they make this same mistake over and over. And it's to do with our rhythm playing. Our right hand should be strumming very even timing throughout, but instead, a lot of people get this kind of sound. Can you hear how they are strumming in time on every numbered beat? 1, 2, 3, 4. But the ands, or the half beats, are pushed over closer to the next beat rather than being right in the middle. When doing rhythm, we should be able to divide the bar up into 8 even strums if we're in eighths, or 16 even strums if we're in sixteenths. And wherever we play on those eighths or sixteenths, it should be very evenly spaced. This means practicing our timing. The best way to do that, you'll hear me go on about all the time, is using a metronome. Metronomes aren't fun to use. We all hate them. They're very annoying in sound. I'm still yet to find a good sounding metronome. If you have found one already, please do let me know in the comments. But most of us hate metronomes. However, metronome is a fantastic tool to improve our timing. It is unparalleled in anything else. We need this to improve our timing. Our down strums or our numbered beats should be on the click. And our and strums or our up strums should be directly in the middle of those 2 clicks. If you're finding it hard to do this, first of all, just try counting out loud with your metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then add the half beats in again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, if you're struggling to do that, try doubling the speed of your metronome. In other words, our clicks will be playing on the beats and the half beats, giving you a click to count on each time you're saying one or the ands. This will help you at first. However, we don't want to rely on this going forward. When we are in a habit of that, if we then halve the speed of our metronome again, but try and keep our ands in the middle of the click still, this will help us with our timing. Now we can do that, bring the guitar back into play again and try playing on the numbered beats and on the and beats so they're again nice and even. This will make your rhythm playing sound far better and smoother rather than having these delayed strums each time. Number 2 are chord voicings. Now chords are used in all the way throughout music, so they'll definitely be something you want to learn. But again, when people start learning on their own, they often pick up bad habits. Things like the positioning or the voicing of their chords. For example, a common one I see is things like the A minor chord. People often play it with the 2nd, 3rd and 4th fingers. Now, playing that is gonna sound absolutely fine if you're playing your fingers in the correct places. However, as we progress with our playing and we want to do things like suspended chords or add a high 7th on the G note, we're gonna want to use that little finger on those notes. But we can't do that if we're already using it in our chord. That means we'd have to relearn or get re-comfortable with using our 1st, 2nd, 3rd fingers for the A minor instead. Again, it's a bad habit people often slip into. If we start using the correct fingers straight away, we don't have to relearn further down the line or get used to using different finger positions further down the line. We're already set up and ready to go for it. Again, just another bad habit people often pick up that we can avoid if we make these good habits straight away. The third bad habit people often start with is just learning riffs of songs. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with playing riffs. Riffs are fantastic musical tools that we use in songs. You'll hear them all the time. However, if we're only learning the riff, we're not learning to transition from riffs to rhythm playing, into solos and back into rhythm playing. What you will often find is people who just learn riffs is they often have a pause when transitioning from the riff into the rhythm playing, or from the riff or the rhythm playing into the solo, and then again back into the rhythm playing. These little pauses or gaps are avoidable if we just start learning the whole song. If we learn the whole song, we're going to get used to, first of all, playing the riffs and the solos and the rhythm playing, but more importantly, transitioning between these sections. This is a skill a guitarist needs to do, especially if your goal is to perform live or to record music. So if you are starting out on guitar, yes, learn the riffs, but also learn the chords and transition between your rhythm playing and your lead playing smoothly by practicing those transitions. Number 4 is our timing. Now, this is closely linked to the rhythm playing I talked about earlier in number 1, but we're talking more now about our lead playing. Again, when we're starting out, we're learning solos and things. We can make the solo sound pretty good, especially if it is a pretty straightforward solo. We'll probably use our natural inbuilt timing to play these things anyway, and they will be pretty much in time and sound good. But if we just do that, we're limiting ourselves to the simpler solos. We're not, again, pushing our technical ability so that as we progress in our playing, we can play more and more complex things. So even when we start out with the simple solos or the simple lead playing, learn how the timing should be. Learn what a crotchet is, what a quaver is, what a semiquaver is. Learn how to count these things. If we're doing that and we're counting through our solos, especially with the simpler things at the beginning, then we're going to be able to do that very comfortably as we progress to more complex solos. Now, it is harder to play that solo and count it, especially if you're trying to count out loud. But that doesn't mean it's not worth doing. All good things are hard to do. Music is hard to do, so we need to put the practice in to make ourselves better. If something's hard, it doesn't mean we just forget about it. It means we need to practice it and push ourselves with it so we get better at it. Counting out loud is one way to do this, especially with solos, because it is difficult to do, but the more we do it, the more comfortable we become with it, the better our solos are going to sound, and then the more fluent we'll find learning the next solo, or the one after that, the harder solo after that, will keep getting better and better. So count out loud whilst you're doing your solos, and that really will help you. And my 5th and final bad habit to avoid today is noodling. This is something we're all guilty of. Especially if you have your guitar out in the room, you pick it up and you play the same little patterns over and over with no sense of timing, not thinking about any keys. We're just playing for playing's sake. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with improvisation, but there is a difference between improvisation and this pointless, endless noodling. When we're doing improvisation, we have a key in mind. We are thinking about the timing. The best thing to do is put a backing track on in a certain key and then practice along with that. That way we have the chord changes, we have the drum beat keeping our timing, and we have a key signature that we have to stick to. This will help us with our solos, with our musicianship, and become better live performers. Playing little patterns here and there, especially if we're repeating the same ones over and over, is not going to help us in those situations. In fact, when we do play with other musicians, we'll find perhaps some of the notes aren't in the right key. Perhaps we don't even know what the notes of the key are, and our timing is way off. So we really need to work at both these things. If you are noodling, try putting a backing track on and doing it in time and in key. This is going to make you a far better guitarist. So I hope you enjoyed those 5 tips to help you avoid bad habits and again to push you and progress you as a guitarist. If you do like the video, please do hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel as we post in-depth music tutorials each week as well as covers and podcasts. I'm Stephen from the Murphy School of Music. Keep up the practice and we'll see you soon.